In this video, I'll walk you through step by step how to create your own RAG-powered AI agent. This agent will answer questions using your private data. No coding required. Now imagine an AI assistant that knows all of your company's HR policies and can instantly pull accurate answers from long, messy FAQ documents. Sounds great, right? The problem is, standard AI models don't actually know your private or up-to-date information. And worse, they sometimes make things up. This is what we call hallucination. In this video, we fix that. And I'll show you how Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG, works, and how to use N8N to build smart AI chat agents that gives reliable and grounded answers without writing a single line of code. So what is RAG? RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. It is an AI framework that gives a large language model access to data outside of its training set. Think of it like an open book exam for AI. Instead of relying on its memory, the AI can look up specific facts in a library of documents before answering your question. Normally, when you ask an AI a question, it just tries to give you an answer based on what it learned during its training. It's just like taking an exam purely from memory. Next, let's look at how the RAG process works. It all starts when you ask a question. For example, what were our company's sales in Q4? Instead of answering immediately, the system sends your query to a retriever. The retriever searches a knowledge base, which could contain your PDFs, databases, or cloud documents. It finds the most relevant chunks of text that contain the answer. We call this the search phase. Next, the system takes your original question and augments it with the information it just found. Now here is our original prompt. It's been augmented to include the relevant information from the search phase. Next, the generator, or LLM, reads both your question and the provided context because it now has the cheat sheet in front of it. It can generate an accurate factual response without guessing or hallucinating. Now, how does retrieving relevant information actually work efficiently with potentially thousands of documents? That's where vector databases and embeddings come in. Let's dig into the concepts. Remember how computers don't understand words? They understand numbers. A vector embedding is the process of converting a piece of text into numbers. For example, it can take a paragraph from your policy document and turn it into a long list of numbers called a vector. That vector represents the meaning of the text. Texts with similar meaning end up with vectors that are close to each other. Now, when it comes to vector databases, a traditional database like Excel or SQL looks for exact word matches. If you search for feline, it might miss documents that only use the word cat. A vector database stores those numerical embeddings. It allows the system to perform a similarity search. Examples of vector databases are Pinecone, Weaviate, ChromeDB. Congratulations! You now have the foundational knowledge of RAG and can begin building your first RAG AI agent. Today, we are using N8N, a powerful workflow automation tool, to build a RAG chat agent. It will have two main workflows: ingestion workflow and chat workflow. For the ingestion workflow, we will take our company policy and FAQ documents, split them up, create embeddings for each pipe, and store these embeddings in a Pinecone index. For the chat workflow, we'll create an interface where you can type a question and our agents will convert your question into an embedding. Search our Pinecone index for relevant document chunks, feed those chunks along with your question to a large language model, like OpenAI's GPT, return a precise answer based on our documents. This is the N8N website. If this is your first time here, go ahead and sign up. NHN will automatically create your own workspace for you. After going through the sign up process, this is what you should have. First, begin by creating our workflow. Our first workflow in the NHN is the ingestion pipeline. So the first thing we do is to create our first node, which will be a trigger. And for our trigger, we will be using Google Drive. And this will be monitoring our Google Drive folder. So we choose on changes to the folder. Now, the first thing we need is to connect to the Google Drive. To do that, we can go ahead and create a new credential. You can see here that you need to connect using either OAuth 2 or service account. We will be using OAuth 2 since that is recommended. Now you can see here that we do have instructions to direct us on how to set up our connection. We could use that, or we could also use the AI for instructions. So we can go ahead and click on the AI for instructions. It's going to give us step-by-step instructions. You can follow that to set up your OAuth connection. I can also guide you on how to do that. So first of all, you need to go to Google Cloud Console. If you do not have an account yet, go ahead and create an account or log in with your Gmail account. Click here to select a project. So we'll go ahead and create a new project. We're going to call it Chat Project. Let's go ahead and create that. Now that we have our project, we will go ahead and enable the API for Google Drive. So to do that, you want to make sure that you've selected your new project. So click over here and select the new project. Click on the navigation menu and look for API and services. Click on library. And search for Google Drive. Select that. Go ahead and enable it for your project. Have that. The next thing is to go to OAuth consent and click on Get Started. So you enter here your application name. So we're going to call it our chat app. Type in your email address for your user support. Click on Next. Select your audience. Next. Contact information. Finish. Now that you have this, you want to go ahead and click on audience. You want to make sure that you add yourself as a test user. Now let's go back to navigation menu, API services. This time we go to credentials. And we are going to create our OAuth credential. So click on create credentials. So go ahead and select your web application as the application type. and give it a unique name. Then when it comes to authorized redirects, go back and copy this. And now that, click on create. So go ahead and copy your client ID and client secret to your Google Drive. You can see that now we can sign in with Google. So go ahead and click on sign in. Select your Gmail account. Continue. Select all. You can see that we've successfully connected. All right. So now that we've configured our credential, we need to fill out the rest of the form. This is where we specify the number of times that the Google Drive trigger will monitor the directory, your folder in Google Drive, and pull data. So we are going to keep it at every minute. And the trigger on, we keep it changes involving a specific folder. Because we've now connected to our Google Drive, it's going to list all the directories in our Google Drive. So we go ahead and we select this one, RAG tutorial. That's the one we are going to use for this workflow. If we go into my Google Drive, you can see I have a folder for RAG tutorial. And these are the two documents available to us. So what I do is I go back and I select this option to watch folder updated. I go ahead and I execute. You can see that it's returned the folder information. Now, when it comes to N8N, it generates an output in 3 different formats for preview. So you can preview it as a schema, see that here, or you can preview as a table where you see all the fields, or you can preview as a JSON data file. Okay, so we can see that our folder has been retrieved. Now that we have our folder, the next thing we have to do is to retrieve the files in our folder. So to do that, we are going to add another node for our Google Drive. This time we are going to search. So select the search files and folders. You can see here we have credentials. To connect to our Google Drive, we use the same one. We keep everything the same as you see here. And we return all. Okay, so we go ahead and we execute this step. We can see that it returns our files for us. We can see here that we have 9 items. So this is returning everything within our Google Drive. We add a filter, folder, we select our RAG tutorial. So we go ahead and re-execute that, and this will return the specific files that we need. All right, so let's go ahead and close that. So we have our 2 nodes ready to go. Now note that the files that we're using for this demo will be made available to you through my Skool's Academy. So I will put that information in the description. You can go there and get that information. So the next one is to call the Google Drive node again, but this time we'd like to download the files. So we are going to select the download file, and we're going to keep everything this way. When it gets to the file, we are going to specify the ID. So we are going to take a look at our input on the left side and grab the ID. So we drag that, and you can see it's JSON.id. We go ahead and we execute the step. And you can see we now have the binary. All right, so we're good here. Now, the next thing we need to do is to pass this information to our vector, our Pinecone vector. And to do that, we will need a Pinecone vector store. This node requires that we go to pinecone.io. We are going to create an index that we can use to store our vector data. So to do that, you can go ahead and sign up if you don't already have an account with them. So once you log in, this is what you're going to see. You're going to go ahead and create an index. We are going to call our index rag index. So we need to select our embedding configuration. So here we will be choosing the text embedding 3 small from OpenAI. Now the embedding is where it converts chunks of text data into vectors. So we go ahead and we select this. You can see that the dimension is 512. This is very important. Depending on the dimension that you select, your OpenAI embedding will also need to match. So here we can see that the embedding is 512 and there is 1536. By increasing the dimension, you get more accuracy. For this demo, we can go ahead and use 1536. We keep the cloud provider to AWS, keep Virginia, go ahead and click on create index. So now your index has been created. In here, you can see that there is a namespace. This allows you to partition your indexes. Currently, it's set to default, and we're going to keep it that way, but it will be updated once we generate the index from our workflow. So let's go ahead. Now that we've created our index, let's add our Pinecone node. So this is the Pinecone vector node. We are adding documents to the vector store, so we select this option. Now we go ahead and we create our credential. What you do is you go back to the Pinecone page and then you look for this API key. With this one, you don't need a client ID or client secret. You just need to click on API key. You give it a name. And then you create key. So go ahead and we copy that. We bring it back here. Click on create new credentials. We pass in the API key. We save that. And you can see that it connects successfully. All right, so now that we've connected to the Pinecone server, let's go ahead and click on this drop down. It loads the indexes in our Pinecone server. So we select this one, rag index, which is what we just created. Now you can see that there are 2 nodes we need to add, embedding and document. So let's go ahead and add our embedding. And with our embedding, we're going to choose OpenAI embeddings. Now with this, we don't need to connect to our API, OpenAI API. So that is also easy to set up. You need to go to platformopenai.com/API keys. Create your new secret key. My OpenAI key can be anything. Create your secret key. We copy that. We paste it here. Let's go ahead and save it. And there we have it. We are connected. So we choose the text embeddings 3 small. So we go ahead and we close that. Now we need to add our document loader. So we choose this. Now you need to specify the type of data we are passing to it. So we are passing to it a binary data. We want it to load all the input data, and we want it to the text splitting to be custom. So we select recursive character text splitter. which will chunk it into 1,000 characters each. So we keep it this way and we close it up. You can see we have this. All right, so with this configuration, we can go ahead and execute our workflow. This will execute it from beginning to end without it being triggered by an update to our folder on Google Drive. So let's go ahead and execute it manually. You can see that it runs successfully and it generated 6 different items. Now, if we go back to our Pinecone, we are supposed to add a namespace, right? So that we can easily identify that. So let's go ahead and add that Pinecone namespace. We call it doc. Now let's go ahead and re-execute this step. Now, if we go back to our Pinecone, we click on our index, you can see that we have these records. Now, because I've run it multiple times, it duplicates the records. So to clear it up, you can go back to namespace, click here, delete, DOC. Let's delete it all. And let's go back and re-execute our workflow. Okay, so now we can see 6 items. If we go back to our Pinecone, what do we see? Let's refresh. We have 6 items, 6 records. All right. So in summary, the first thing we did for our ingestion pipeline workflow is to create a trigger that would fire the workflow when the Google Drive folder is updated. And then we had another node that will pull the files from the folder. We then created another node that will download the files and pass that information to our Pinecone vector. And what our Pinecone vector would do is to chunk it up using the default data loader so that the AI can ingest that. And then the embeddings OpenAI together with the specified embeddings in the Pinecone vector store will convert the chunk text to vectors. And this information will be stored as vectors within the data store. All right, so this is our workflow and we can see that it's executed successfully. Let's move on to our second workflow. The next workflow we are going to create is the chat workflow. And to create that, we will start with our chat node, which is the chat trigger. Gonna move it to the side. Then the next node we are going to create is our AI agent. So you're going to look for our AI agent. This is going to be the brain of our workflow. And you can see that it has 3 connectors. The first one is connecting this to a chat model. And for the chat model, we're going to use OpenAI's chat model. We already have our connection credential, so we keep it that way. Now that we've added our chat model, let's go ahead and add our tool. And this is going to be our vector tool, which will provide context to our AI agent so that when we ask specific questions concerning the company's policy and FAQs, it knows exactly where to source that information from. So to do that, we are going to call the Pinecone vector store. And for the operation mode, we set it to retrieve documents as tool for AI agent. Now let's go ahead and give it a description, telling exactly what this node is supposed to do. So as you can see, it gives us an example to work with our data in the vector store. So work with our data in the vector store and provide accurate information. Now, when it comes to our Pinecone index, we're going to click on the drop down here. I'm going to select our index, rag index. Now, when it comes to options, we are going to add our Pinecone namespace because you need to specify which folder, which location is supposed to source your information from in the Pinecone vector store. So we go ahead and we specify that. So we called it doc. So we add that here. And you can see here we need to add an embedding. So we're going to use our OpenAI embedding. So we add our embedding. Let's adjust it here. All right, so we go ahead and we save this. Now let's go ahead and ask our AI agent about the company's PTO policy. So we ask, what is the company's PTO policy? So you can see here, it's able to read that information. It's telling us the company's PTO policy includes the following key points. Vacation requests must be submitted through the portal at least 2 weeks in advance. Sick leave does not require advance notice. So great, we can see that it's retrieving information from our knowledge base. If we go back to our knowledge base and we select the code of conduct, let's go ahead and open that. So we can see here, there is a policy on, let's see, on etiquette. So let's go ahead and ask that. What is the policy on etiquette? So we ask that. So you can see the company's policy, use company communication channels. So let's confirm that is true. Yes, that's true. So you're supposed to use Slack, Zoom, or Outlook for business related discussions. And all company communication should remain professional, concise, and respectful. So we go back here, all communications. So we can see that all the information that is being spit out is coming from the knowledge base as we provided it. It's looking at other parts of the document and providing additional information. So yeah, as we can see for our chat app agent, we can see we created that first of all by creating our trigger chat node. So whenever you type in any information, any question, it will pick up that information, pass it to the AI agent. And what the AI agent does is to check with the LLM to be able to translate that information, pull the information from the Pinecone vector store to add context, and with the augmented prompt, begin to spit out a response. We can see the breakdown down here, right? We can see that the AI agent, first of all, went to the OpenAI chat model, then it went to the Pinecone embedding, and then back to the OpenAI to compose the response. So that does it for the second workflow. If you want this N8N template, check the description. I'm going to include a link to my Skool Academy. And once you get on that page, you will be able to access that information. If you made it to the end of this video and you found any value in it, go ahead and click on like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.